Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here. In this video, I'm going to be going over some of the class changes in patch 7.2.5 notes. Just a reminder, these are just very early notes. These are subject to change. Maybe none of this will be true when the patch goes live. So I'm going to go through each class and each spec and kind of give you an overall buff or nerf kind of thing. Go through some of the talents, some of the abilities, and of course mention the aura changes. Aura is basically a static damage buff or whatever to certain abilities, usually all of your abilities. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to go as quick as possible because there's a lot of stuff. That's why I'm not going through everything individually. First of all, we have Death Knight. As Blood Death Knight, you're getting a 15% damage aura increase up from 0. Your Icebound Fortitude and Vampiric Blood have slightly changed their runic power, not a lot. Death and Decay is buffed. Frost, there's not a lot of changes, just the Icebound Fortitude runic power, and your rhyme now includes Frost Scythe. Unholy, again, not a ton of changes here. Your Death Coil has been buffed, and some runic power changes here as well. You also lost 1% from your aura. You had 6, and now you're down to 5%. Other than that, your Festering Strike has been buffed. Festering Wound has been buffed. Outbreak and Scourge Strike have been buffed as well. Usually, if you have a nerf on your aura, your moves have been buffed, usually. Havoc, Demon Hunters, your Demon Blades are buffed, Fell Barrage is buffed, Prepared is somewhat buffed. These aren't huge buffs, you're mostly going to be the same. It's just some slight buffs. Vengeance, you basically have buffs across the entire board except for on a few abilities. Well, they're still buffed, but these abilities, Immolation Aura, Infernal Strike, Firebrand, Shear, they've lost their aura. So your aura is at 9%, they go down to 0%, but they all got buffed individually. Druid, Feral Druids, you had a 17% aura, you're down to 0. But Ferocious Bite, huge buff. Rake, Rip, and Shred all buffed. Guardian, your damage increased on some things. However, your Iron Fur got a nerf from 80 to 65%. Balanced Druids, you had a 4% aura down to 0. Not a huge thing there. However, your Lunar Strike, Solar Wrath, Starfall, Star Surge, and Sunfire all got buffed. Resto, basically Cultivation got nerfed a little bit from 144 to 120% of spell power. Beast Mastery Hunters, your aura was 20, you're down to 6, that's 14% loss. Bestial Wrath, mostly the same, just a little bit of change of the way it works. Cobra Shot buffed, Kill Command buffed. Dire Beast, mostly the same. Let's go on to Marksmanship. Marksmanship, you had an 8% aura, now you're up to 12%, so it's a 4% increase in aura. Aim Shot buff, Cobra Shot buff, Mark Shot nerfed. Survival Hunters, your Dragon's Fire Grenade has been buffed. It's like the only change. Arcane Mages, so let's go to Mages. All of your arcane spells, Missiles, Explosion, Blast, and Barrage are buffed. However, you had a 21% damage aura, and it's down to 0%. So I think that's the biggest loss of aura that there is. Fire Mage, you had a 0 aura, and you're up to 6. Other than that, you don't have anything. Frost, basically all your Frost moves, Blizzard, Cone of Cold, Flurry, Frostbolt, Frozen Orb, Ice Lance, all buffed. However, you had a 17% aura, you went down to 0, so it's a 17% loss on aura. Monk, Brewmaster, basically, just to kind of shorten that up, Brewmaster had a lot of changes. Basically, it's some nerfs to your damage mitigation is what you can expect out of that. Mistweaver, Essence Font, Vivify, some slight buffs to them, Life Cocoon. Nothing huge, just made your heals a little bit better and changed a little bit of mana cost for a couple things as well. Refreshing Jade Wind, looks like it was buffed as well. Windwalker Monks, Fist of Fury nerfed, Spinning Crane Kick nerfed. However, you had an 8% aura, and that's up to 19%, so it's 11% increase on your aura. So even though you lost a little bit of damage on your Fist of Fury, you will have an 11% increase overall just from the aura. Let's look at Paladin, Retribution, that's me. We had a 12% aura, that's up to 16%, so it's a plus 4% damage. Divine Hammer is nerfed, but I will go into something else about Divine Hammer. Our talent for Divine Hammer slash Blade of Justice has been increased and buffed, so it's not really that much of a nerf. It's keeping it the same, but making Blade of Justice stronger, in other words. Holy for Martyr got a buff, in my opinion. Life's Hammer, the mana cost is a little bit higher. Protection, nothing big here, except for Blessed Stalwart got a nerf, the final talent there, and the artifact weapon. Priest, the biggest thing for Discipline is your mana cost has gone down on basically everything. You have a few buffs on your heals as well, on Penance and Plea, I believe, was overall a buff. However, just the best thing is that your mana cost is down, so I call that an overall buff. Less mana to spend there. Holy, the same thing holds true for you. While your circular healing was buffed, your overall base mana cost went down. Assassination Rogues. Oh, Shadow doesn't have any changes. I should have mentioned that. I'm pretty sure they need buff though. So, yeah. Assassination. You had an 11% aura. You're up to 22%. That's 11% increase. Your Insanguinate is buffed. Your Subterfuge is a little bit of nerf, and your Phantom Knives is buffed. Outlaw Rogues. You had a 20% aura. That's up to 30%. So it's 10% increase for Outlaws. Your Adrenaline Rush nerfed. Ambush buffed. Combat Potency, a little bit nerfed, and then we'll just go on to Subtlety. Subtlety, Backstab buffed, Deepening Shadows buffed, Nightblade was nerfed, Relentless Strikes, a little bit changed. A couple things are a little bit changed. Shadow's Dance, a little bit buffed. They had a 9% aura up to 30%, so it's a 21% increase in aura. That's a pretty big increase. Let's look at... Or to Shaman now. Elemental Shaman, pretty much no changes for you guys. The way your elementals behave is slightly different. Basically, the range on them is different. So they have 30. They used to be a 30-yard range. Now it's 40. So enhancement. Basically, all your moves are buffed. Chain Lightning, Flame Tongue, Lava Lash, Lightning Bolt, Mastery, Enhanced Elements, Rock Biter, Stormbringer, Storm Strike, Wind Fury. Basically, all buffed. However, you had a 21% aura on your normal abilities. That's down to 7%, so it's minus 14. On your periodic damage done, however, so anything that's going to put like a little bit of a ticking thing on them, that went from 4% to 7%. So you did get a slight buff on periodic damage, very slight, while getting a nerf on just direct damage. But again, all your moves have been increased, so that might be an overall buff for you. Restoration, Wellspring just costs less mana. Nothing good there. Warlock Affliction, you have a 25% aura. I don't know if you had 0 before. I don't know if you had 25% before. I'm not sure what your aura changes are. I'm guessing maybe it's the same because a lot of your moves are nerfed. So like Contagion, Haunt is nerfed, Malefic Grasp. I mean, pretty much a lot of your moves are nerfed. Siphon Life has been nerfed as well. Demonology, Hand of Gul'dan was buffed. That's about all I got for that. Destruction, Chaos Bolt, looks like it was buffed up. Conflagrate, Havoc, Immolate, Incinerate. Most of your stuff's been buffed. You had a 4% aura, you're up to 21%. That's an increase of 17%. That's a pretty big increase on your aura. So that's kind of a big deal as well. Let's see. Should be on to Warrior finally. Warrior, Arms Warrior. You had a 5% aura, you're up to 15%. So that's a buff. And Cleave has been buffed. Mastery, Colossal Might has been nerfed. Colossal Smash, though, buffed. Execute buffed. Moral Strike buffed. Slam buffed. Whirlwind buffed. So you're one of the rare classes where you had a 10% increase and your moves got buffed. So you must have really needed some more damage, I guess. And Fury, you had 5%, you're up to 10%, no real changes to your moves, so just a 5% damage increase. For protection, your Revenge has been nerfed damage-wise, and Spell Reflection just slightly changed the way it works. Nothing huge there. Again, these are just preliminary changes. These are not necessarily going to be the live patch notes. Just gives you an idea. I will have the link to what I've been reading. There's a lot more stuff. There's honor talents, there's talent changes, there's set bonus changes to the new tier 20 coming out. So there's all kinds of changes. So I'll give you the link to where I'm reading it from. I will warn you, this site does have ads. It is the site I use though. So I'll put that in there. And other than that, sorry if this is a little bit long, but everyone have a good one. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Thumbs up and sub as always. Also comment below, share the videos. Appreciate it so much. You can also check me out at Twitter at WoW Gaming Inc. and at Twitch with the tag name Kneecap Killer. So everyone have a good one and see you again soon.